What's going on, everybody? I haven't released a video in a while, but I've made quite a few. This one I'm going to release right away, and it has to do with the liver, alcohol, alchemy, transmutation, and causative properties. There's so many things in this world that we believe there's a cause for in a certain linear way. We believe because of what we think we see that things work in a certain way. For instance, if you look at someone that drinks alcohol often, and then you take a look at the liver later in life when they die and pull it out and you see that it's fatty, you go, wow, that alcoholic was damaging his liver. It's turned it into a fatty liver. Yet, this is just not true. It can't be. It doesn't even make any sense. If you understand the elements, and I'll do another video on elements again, because I really would like to make it clear about the elements, that truly there is one element and three transmutative forces. And in fact, more so, it's just fire that's the transmutative force. Water and air are more of a conduit for things. But the only thing that really exists is the earth element, meaning the soil and the pulp or the bulk of something, the material, the ma. Water isn't material, it goes through your hands. Air, it flows right by you. Fire, it transmutes something. They're not really elements, they're forces. The only thing that is an element is really the earth, and we have to consider that, and we have to consider what fat is. So, getting back to this alcohol and what people call their diet or their deity. Your deity is your diet. That's your God. And in the sense of the word God, what I mean is the thing that you bind yourself to. It's your yoga. It's your yoke. If you yoke yourself to a certain set of food items. Now let's look at this liver, this fatty liver that they talk about. It's always caused by alcohol. No, it's not. It can't be. It wouldn't be. What does alcohol do? What does an ammonia do? What does bleach do? What do the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to acid and alkaline do? They burn things down and break things away and pull them apart. And what alcohol does, it's a cleansing agent. And alcohol is called firewater. Firewater because what it's doing is burning something off. So now if you look at someone's diet and all they're eating is fatty foods and greasy foods and things that aren't even really food, and we wonder what happens to the liver, the only thing the alcohol has really done is sped up a process. It's just like anybody that's going through a cleanse, and I've spoken at length in many of my videos about what alcohol is, what turpentine is, what all of these, what ammonia is, the different types of liquids that cause reactions in the body, vinegar even, what these certain substances do in the body, and it's speeding up a process. So it's just like if you're doing a cleanse, you might get a buildup or a backup in a joint somewhere. You might get a buildup or backup in your veins because as it's cleansing, it can, just like a river can get dammed up, it happens in your body. So if we look at the liver in the same way, and instead of just eating a diet of fatty foods, we speed up the process of trying to cleanse, because that's what alcohol is. If you get into it, there's digestives that helps you digest food. It's so obvious. Put food and alcohol together outside the body. What do you think's going to happen? So it's just speeding up a process, and it can speed up the process to clogging up a liver quicker. If you remove all of the horrible dietary choices of someone, if you just drank water or drank wine or beer or liquor, especially when we get into the true alchemy of those things, with it having the essential herbs in it and the spirits that should be in it, then it becomes even more of a healthy healing property. But as it sits, it's always the diet, it's always the fats. How are you going to get a fat liver from something that actually removes fat? It literally makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and it's not true. Because causatively, that we, once again, as we often do on things in this planet, we think that there's a cause of something that runs this, oh, that's the cause, and we're oftentimes, if not always, wrong. In fact, it goes even deeper, and I don't really want to get into how deep it goes into the metaphysician, and the mind is the cause of everything, and there really is no cause in the physical world whatsoever. But we do have some process that we kind of stick to here and say, this does lead to that. And so when we say alcohol leads to a fatty liver, it's well, yeah, it's part of it, but it's doing a job on the fats that we're consuming. So getting back into the elements just quickly, the fire is the transmutive force. It enables something to happen at a quicker pace. Water, it also carries something. Air, it is a carrier. So these things, just like oil, you call it a carrier oil. Oil is a liquid, like water. So what we're seeing is that the ideas that we have of the four elements just probably aren't exactly what we have been told, and it's not true. There are so many, and this is not to discredit the alchemists of past, but it is to try to convey this message that maybe we misread some material, maybe we didn't, maybe there was a mistranslation. There's always a loss in translation from one language to the next, from one symbol to the next. But if we really just stood out in nature, what do we find? We will never see any fire anywhere. That's why Prometheus exists. That's why we have thumbs. We are the carrier of the flame of the torch. As man, we are the transmuter. We are the fire, and we create fire. So it's not an element. It's something that we do. It's a process. It's a verb. It's a movement. So the only thing that we're moving really on this planet is our physical material body, meaning the matter, meaning the mother. So the father being the fire, the father, the fire, my Führer, the fire, the mind, the fire in the mind, which is Prometheus, which is the moving aspect of moving nature, moving the material. Those are the real only two things that are occurring, fire and earth. And the idea of what water does to put out the flame or to help something grow in the earth, and the oxygen to carry things through the air. I mean, these are, once again, carriers. So I think what and I'll do another video specifically on this and start it with this, and I'll probably do a bunch of these just so I can reach different people in different ways, because I think so many people have clung to philosophies and ideas that they were sold and told that may or may not have been right, and even the deepest ones, the most, that came from the alchemists, that came from these people. Well, we don't know our history and our languages and our tongues and the information we've been given, and people that have. We always go into these translations. How many translations of the Quran are there, of the Bible, of symbols? How many people can look at a symbol and give you, well, it kind of means this, it kind of means that? So if we really just stood in nature and observed and looked at and participated in these things that are nature, we have a new understanding, understanding of what these things are, or what actually is an element, and what the elements are. And the elements mean the mind, element, mind. It's the L's of the mind, the angles of the mind. So I'm not going to go too far in that. We'll save that for another time. But once again, this is just to get everybody to reframe their view on what's happening with alcohol, what's happening with fire, what's happening with water, and reconsider some things. So have a beautiful day, y'all. We'll talk soon.